We live completely off-grid, and we purchased this 2023 F-150 Lightning to be part of our off-grid power system. We've owned it for just over a year now, and in this video, I'm gonna break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of owning an EV and how it's worked for us living off-grid. Slight spoiler, it didn't go exactly as planned, and I'm actually headed down right now to sell this thing. So make sure to stick around to the end to hear my honest thoughts of owning an EV and find out what I'm replacing it with. Well, today is beginning like a lot of our days lately with Courtney dropping me off at the project house because I had to leave the truck here overnight to charge. For the last few months, rather than charging this truck off excess solar at our house, because we don't have excess solar this time of year, we've been charging it at the construction site, which has worked out well because most days I'm there during the day. So I charge the truck during the day while I'm working, drive it home. But there are times like last night when the truck was low, we had to drop the truck off so it could stay there overnight and charge, and then Courtney dropped me off this morning to get the truck again. So now I'm headed back to our house to start my day. What's up, plow? That thing's pretty sweet. With studded snow tires on it, this truck is an absolute beast in the snow. Like, it is a mountain goat. We have special tires in the wintertime that have a softer compound, and then they put these little metal studs in them to give us more traction on the ice. The first thing I love about this truck is the interior. This truck is a work truck model, and the interior is so bomber and so easy to clean. Like, no carpet on the floors, vinyl seats, removable tray liners that I can just shake out, plastic door cards I can just wipe off. And yet, despite having such a bare bones work truck interior, it actually has a bunch of features that I've come to love. Things like heated seats, a hands-free cell phone system that actually works, navigation that ties in with my cell phone. These are features that I didn't think I was gonna care about, but now after a year of ownership, I'm not sure that I can live without them.
Hello, this is Ryan.
Hey Ryan, this is Riley Casey, calling about potentially coming down to look at some trucks today. Alrighty, awesome, see you soon.
Bye,
Yep, thanks, Ryan. This video is not sponsored by Ford. We paid our own money for this truck, and all of the thoughts and opinions about this truck are my own. Why did we buy this truck in the first place? There is a much longer and detailed version of that story that I'll put a link to that video in the description below. But here's the short version. Our primary energy source up on the mountain is solar. And for about 6 months of the year, we make so much excess solar that we're able to charge this truck and essentially drive for free. But in the wintertime, we can't even make enough solar to power our home, and we have to supplement with a generator. Getting propane and diesel up to our mountain is difficult, it's expensive, and having to listen to a generator run to charge our home is pretty annoying. So here was the thought. If we buy an EV, we can take the EV to town, charge it off a relatively inexpensive energy in town, drive the EV home, and then either power our home directly off the EV or recharge our off-grid power system's batteries from the EV. And it works. Actually, it works really well. So we actually tested it, and this truck on its own was able to power our home for an impressive 6 days and 7 nights. This truck has 98 kilowatt hours of usable battery capacity. And so when we compare a 98 kilowatt hour battery system and a 7,000 watt inverter, this truck on paper is actually a pretty killer deal, even just as an off-grid power system, not including the fact that it's an entire 4-wheel drive truck as well. I've already mentioned that I love the interior of this truck, but to be honest, I kind of love everything about this truck. I love the way that it drives. It handles so well. It's silent inside, it's smooth, it has tons of power, like instant power. It tows a trailer super well. Once we got past some of the learning curves, this truck has been flawless. No mechanical problems, no software glitches, no electrical issues. All of the features work, everything in the Pro Power works. Being able to take it to remote places and run power tools off of it. It's got like this zone lighting that lights up the whole area for working at night. And people stop and ask me all the time when I'm at the gas station, haha, just kidding, I don't go to the gas station. People stop and ask me all the time when I'm out and about in town and they see me driving this Lightning, like, hey, what do you think of that electric truck? And my answer to them is that a lot of what I love about this truck is because it's an EV, but everything that I hate about this truck is because it's an EV. The very first lesson we learned on the very first night of ownership is that just parking this truck outside overnight in cold weather depletes the batteries. Depending on how cold it is, we could lose as much as 10, 15, even 20% of our battery capacity just with the truck parked sitting outside overnight. Which means that in the wintertime, if it's gonna be below freezing, we have to pull the truck inside the shop, and that's not always possible. The next pain point of this truck is charging. In this relatively remote part of the country that we live in, the charging infrastructure is pretty limited. We are lucky and we do have one DC fast charger in town, but that DC fast charger is at kind of an inconvenient place. The only thing within walking distance of it is a brewery, which means that Courtney and I are able to go on date nights occasionally to the charger if we have to and go get dinner and a beer at the brewery, but we can't do that all the time. It would be so much more convenient if that charger were in a shopping center where we could do things like grocery shopping while we wait for the truck to charge. Hey, you guys remember the extended cab Duramax that I had for a little while on this channel? It just drove by me the other way. That's funny. Small town. I'm gonna stop in for a coffee. I don't need any change. Thank you very much. This truck is supposed to have a 240-mile range. It was plugged in all night last night. The batteries were at 100% when we started this morning. We're only 15 miles from home, and it already says 184 miles on the dash. Where did the other 41 miles of range go? Up here in a somewhat remote part of the country, it's actually kind of hard for me to find chargers on my travels. I mean, I can't even take this truck to the airport to pick up visitors. On paper, I should be able to, but in reality, I have to charge on my way back. And that's like the last thing that somebody that spent their entire day traveling on an airplane wants to do, is stop and charge the electric truck. So I want to give you guys a little comparison of what it costs to drive this electric truck versus what it would cost to drive a normal gas truck. If I can charge this truck off of solar at my house, well, then it's essentially free for me to drive this truck. If I'm charging it at the construction site where we pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour, well, then it costs me approximately a quarter to a third to drive this truck what it would cost to drive a similar truck that gets about 16 miles per gallon. If I'm charging this truck on the fast charger network, then it costs a little bit more to charge this truck than it would cost me just to buy gas in a normal pickup truck. But if I charge this truck by running the propane generator at our house, well, then it costs me substantially more to drive this truck than it would a normal gasoline pickup truck. So a quick update, it now says 154 miles of range left, but we've only driven the truck 33 miles, which means we have lost 53 miles of range mysteriously, almost twice what we've driven. And on this drive, we're getting 1.3 miles per kilowatt hour instead of the advertised 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. I've got the climate control set fairly cold and the seat heater on because it's much more efficient to heat me by using the seat heater than using the climate control. This truck is advertised to do 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour when I bought it. I think they've actually updated that now, and now they're claiming 2.2. Over the lifetime of this truck, we're seeing 1.7 miles per kilowatt hours, which means that we're getting 30% worse fuel efficiency than what's advertised. Which that brings us to our biggest issue with this truck, which is really no fault of this truck at all. It's more of a thing about our lifestyle, which is the logistics of charging. Our plan to charge this truck over the summertime off excess solar only works if the truck is at our house, which means we have to shift our whole lifestyle to then run errands in the truck in the evening when the sun is not shining. We have a lot of questions of, well, can't you just plug the truck in to charge overnight and then the next day the sun will recharge your off-grid power system's batteries? Yes and no. The truck has a substantially larger battery pack than our off-grid power system at our house, which means that it would completely deplete our off-grid power system's battery capacity. And cycling the batteries like that, both the truck and the off-grid power system, isn't going to be good for either of them long term. And then during the wintertime, using the truck to charge our house means that every few days we need to get the truck all the way back up to 100% to be able to charge our house, and then get it back up to 100% again to be able to use it as a truck. Which means we've spent a lot of time this winter doing things like you saw this morning of leaving the truck at the construction site overnight to charge, and then Courtney has to give me a ride down to the truck the next morning for me to be able to go run errands. It means a lot of thinking ahead, a lot of planning, and a lot of planning our life just around charging a truck, which Courtney and I are very busy people. I'm often in a hurry, and spending a lot of time thinking and logistically planning about charging a truck just hasn't been working for me. How is there a car? What on earth? I feel so bad for this lady right here. Hold on, I'm gonna show you. She doesn't need any help because the tow truck driver's here, but I'm not even sure how this happens. Her car is completely out of the parking lot and down in the ditch. Okay, just pulling into the dealership. So to recap, things I love about this truck: it is quiet, it is comfortable, it drives amazing, it performs super well in the snow and really well off-road. It tows a trailer really well. It's really safe for our family to ride in. And the things that I hate about this truck are the really limited range and figuring out the logistics of charging the batteries. On this trip, we ended up getting 1.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So my goal for the day is to figure out if I can find a truck that meets all of the things we love about this truck, eliminates all the things we hate about this truck, and makes financial sense for our family. Let's go find out. I hate car dealers. The last time I was here was when we bought the Lightning. I think they made the experience about as pleasant as they could, but I just can't help but constantly feel like I'm going to get ripped off. So sticking with the fact that I love a lot of things about the Lightning, especially the way it drives and its comfort, I decided it would probably be best to just start with looking at F-150s. So behind me here, we've got an F-150 with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost in it, which means that this thing is rated to tow, it's something crazy, like 13,500 pounds or something like that, which is great because that means that I can tow our skid steer on the trailer with this truck, something that I could not do with the Lightning. Right away, the interior is like way too nice for me. I want the vinyl seats and the plastic floors and the plastic door cards. Like, this thing's got leather and fabric and basically the same inside as the Lightning. Like, all the same controls, the same screen, the same, everything else is like the same. It's pretty quiet. Okay guys, so I test drove 3 or 4 or 5 different trucks, a couple of these F-150s, an F-350 with the 6.8 gas motor, a Raptor just for fun, because always fun to drive a Raptor. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I hate this part of the deal. Hopefully I can negotiate a good price. 8.5 hours later and I am done buying a truck. That took forever. It's late, it's dark, and I'm hungry. So I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to share all of the nitty-gritty details about what truck I decided to replace the Lightning with and all of the financial details that went into the deal. We'll see you then. I replaced my 2023 F-150 with a 2024 F-150. The Lightning was the very first brand new car that Courtney and I had ever purchased, which makes this the second brand new car that we've ever purchased. This F-150 is an XLT with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost and the max tow package, which means that this truck is rated to tow 13,500 pounds. And because it's an XLT, it actually has a lot of the same tech features that we grew to love about our Lightning without the huge price of some of the more luxury F-150s. Now that we're back home, I want to give a few final thoughts about the Lightning before we get into the nitty-gritty details about how much I paid for the Lightning, how much I paid for this truck, and how much money did I lose. For example, if I worked a normal 9-to-5 type job where I went to work every day and I could charge it at work and then bring it home and use it to power our home, I think the Lightning would be brilliant. Every day I'd come home, I'd have a full charge, I'd power my home all night and recharge my smaller off-grid system, go back to work the next day, recharge, repeat the cycle. It would be a way to really inexpensively power an off-grid home without having to buy a gigantic power system, right? The only size power system I would need for my home is something big enough to power the home while I'm not at home. But that's not the life that Courtney and I live. We live a very busy, unscheduled, chaotic life with projects all over the place. So while functionally the Lightning worked for us as an off-grid power system, practically it just wasn't a practical option for us. So I went into the dealership yesterday wanting to custom order an XL truck, which is the most base level trim package they make, with the EcoBoost and the max tow package, to get everything I needed and nothing that I didn't, to pay as little money as possible. Well, it turns out my dealer had a bunch of 2024s sitting on the lot here at the end of the year, and they were willing to make me a deal that got this truck as an XLT with quite a few options to be pretty dang close to the price of that 2025 XL that I was planning on ordering. This truck MSRP'd for $62,225. My dealer was able to give me a $6,800 discount. On top of that, I got $1,500 in rebates from Ford, which brought the adjusted price of this truck down to $53,900. Courtney and I spent $49,000 on the Lightning, However, we also qualified for a $7,500 federal tax credit, which brought the effective purchase price of our Lightning down to $41,500. I did some rough math and estimated the fuel savings that we saved by driving an electric truck over the last year, because a lot of our charge was coming from either free excess solar here at the house or super cheap 8 cents per kilowatt hour electricity in town. If I factor in our fuel savings, I believe that we saved about $1,500 on fuel over the last year by driving the Lightning. So I think it's fair to say that the Lightning cost us $40,000. My Ford dealer was able to offer me $38,250 on trade-in. That means that effectively owning that Lightning for 1 year cost Courtney and I $1,750. You're probably saying, well, Riley, wait, what about sales tax? You're forgetting sales tax. I didn't know this because this is the first time I've ever traded in and bought a new car, but it turns out that they actually only charge me sales tax on the difference of my trade-in value versus what I paid for the new truck. So I'm only paying sales tax on the prorated portion of the new truck, so I didn't really lose out very much on my sales tax. If we want to really get into the weeds, Courtney and I also qualified for a 1.9% financing on this truck. I'm taking the difference, I'm putting it into a savings account that I earned 5% interest on. So over the 3 years that I'm making payments on this truck, the money that I would have spent up front on this truck is going to be earning me interest, helping to further decrease the purchase price of the truck. That's really getting into the weeds, but that's the finances of how it made sense for us and our family to buy this new truck. I'm stoked. Like on the drive home last night, this truck, it's gonna be more practical for us in some ways because it can tow more weight than the Lightning could. I think the biggest thing that I love about this truck is right here. I drove this truck home last night and it still has 619 miles of range left. I think it's too soon to say whether or not trading the Lightning in for this truck was a mistake, but we're gonna find out together. So if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.